Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're breaking down an absolutely wild, high-stakes survival thriller from aviation history. We're looking at a story that completely rewrote the record books. It was a scenario so terrifying and so unprecedented that literally no pilot had ever been trained for it and no manual had ever been written for it.
So, picture this. It's August 24th, 2001. You're cruising in a massive commercial airliner at an altitude of 34,000 feet right over the pitch-black, freezing Atlantic Ocean. 306 people are on board Air Transat Flight 236, making their way from Toronto to Portugal. Dinner's done, the lights are dimmed down, and everything feels perfectly normal and peaceful.
But then, suddenly, that constant, comforting hum of the jet engines just vanishes. Both engines completely die. The cabin goes totally dark, leaving you in this terrifying, heavy silence. You are now trapped inside a 300-ton piece of metal that is powerless, rapidly falling out of the sky.
And that brings us to our main focus today. How this flight crew somehow managed to pull off an unprecedented, mathematically impossible 19-minute glide to safety. 19 agonizing minutes without a single drop of fuel, relying purely on raw flying skill and gravity.
Well, let's dive into this impossible scenario by first taking a look at the guy holding the controls, Captain Robert Pichet. Suddenly, he found himself piloting this massive glider. Now, he had a staggering 16,800 hours of flight experience, including some really extreme bush flying, but he also had a pretty wild, hidden past. About 20 years prior, he'd actually served time in a U.S. prison for smuggling drugs, getting a pardon just the year before this flight. The passengers had absolutely no idea, but his unconventional background and those raw, gritty flying skills were about to become their only hope.
Section 1. A ticking time bomb. The maintenance error. To understand how we get to that terrifying glide in the dark, we have to reverse engineer the disaster. We need to rewind 9 days before the flight to a supposedly minor maintenance delay. During a routine inspection, mechanics found metal chips in the plane's right engine, meaning it absolutely had to be swapped out. But the airline didn't have a spare, so they borrowed a replacement from Rolls-Royce, but it was an older design. The mechanics were rushing to get the plane ready, the computer network was down, and the lead technician completely missed the offline CD manuals sitting right there in the building. Under immense pressure, they took a shortcut. They installed an older, mismatched hydraulic tube right up against a newer fuel tube. Two completely incompatible metal tubes forced together.
You know, it's kind of like forcing the wrong phone charger into your device. It might actually work for a minute and everything looks fine on the surface, but underneath, a disastrous failure is absolutely inevitable. And that's exactly what happened here. The plane flew several flights completely normally, just acting as a ticking time bomb.
Section 2. The fatal crossfeed error, a dangerous mistake.
Let's jump back to the flight itself. The vibration and pressure of those incompatible tubes finally caused them to rub together. Hour after hour of metal grinding on metal created a crack in the fuel line, and aviation fuel started pouring out into the Atlantic at a catastrophic rate of 13 metric tons per hour. Now get this, despite a nearly identical incident 4 years earlier with an Air France flight, this modern Airbus A330 lacked an automated fuel leak warning system. Authorities had recommended it, but it was never installed. So the crew was flying along, completely oblivious, with no alarms telling them their fuel was just raining into the ocean.
By the time the pilots finally spotted a problem, it just looked like a simple fuel imbalance on their screens, meaning the right wing had less fuel than the left. And this is where human error enters the chat. Instead of pulling out the physical checklist, which clearly says to check for a fuel leak first, they trusted their memory. And step 3 of their memory-based routine? Opening a crossfeed valve. This was the fatal mistake. By opening that valve, they accidentally pumped their remaining, perfectly good fuel from the left wing directly into that leaking right engine.
Section 3. Becoming a glider. Zero engine power.
By trying to fix a routine problem from memory, they accidentally doubled the disaster. They were literally pumping their own lifeline out into the sea. And this timeline highlights the sheer tick-tock terror of what followed. At 6:13 a.m., the right engine starves and dies. The pilots declare an emergency, aiming for an obscure military runway in the Azores. But then, 13 agonizing minutes later, at 6:26 a.m., the left engine dies too. Flight 236 is now a powerless glider, 65 nautical miles away from any solid ground.
The second that left engine died, the cockpit screens went completely black. The main electrical power was gone. But then, this tiny automated savior deployed from the belly of the plane called a ram air turbine, or RAT. It's essentially a small wind-driven propeller. But here's the catch. To keep it spinning and generating just enough emergency power for the most basic instruments, Captain Pichet had to maintain a minimum glide speed of 140 knots. That meant he actually had to pitch the nose down, literally diving toward the freezing ocean. It's a terrifying, counterintuitive move, but absolutely crucial. Without that speed, they lose all steering.
Back in the pitch-black cabin, it was pure chaos. The deafening roar of the engines was replaced by this eerie, terrifying sound of rushing air. Flight attendants were desperately trying to get life jackets onto panicked passengers. Everyone was bracing for a deadly water crash at night in the freezing Atlantic, which is incredibly fatal. Yet, right in the middle of people praying and accepting their fate, one passenger stubbornly turned to his wife and said, "We will need our shoes," fully intending to survive the impact and swim for his life.
Section 4. Landing in the dark. A dangerous descent.
Thankfully, they didn't have to swim, but reaching the runway meant Captain Pichet had to execute absolute masterclass gliding. First, he mentally calculated their glide ratio, trading altitude for distance. But as they approached the island, he realized they were coming in too high and way too fast. If he just aimed for the runway, they'd overshoot it and crash. So in pitch darkness in a powerless jet, he throws the plane into a massive 360-degree loop just to bleed off altitude. Coming out of the loop, they're still too fast, so he aggressively executes extreme S-turns, zigzagging through the sky. Finally, without engine reverse thrust to slow down, he performs a violent side-slip maneuver, crossing the flight controls to turn the broad side of the aircraft into a giant air brake. It's an extreme white-knuckle bush pilot move. And at 6:45 a.m., they hit the tarmac, hard. The extreme braking blew out the tires, sparking flames as the metal ground against the runway. But miraculously, the plane stopped. Within 2 minutes, all 306 people evacuated without a single fatality. An impossible 19-minute glide executed perfectly.
This whole story really proves that aviation disasters are rarely just a single mistake. It's always a cascading chain of failures. If the mechanic had read the manual, if the tubes weren't mismatched, if that automated warning system had been installed, or if the pilots had just used their physical checklist instead of relying on memory, any one of those things could have stopped this nightmare.
Which leaves us with a pretty chilling final thought to take away from this explainer. In our highly advanced world, we trust automated systems with our lives every single day. But when those systems fail to warn us, is it just too dangerous to trust human memory with hundreds of lives? It's a heavy question, and one that Flight 236 forced the entire aviation world to answer.